Hi there. It's 2 minutes before 2 o'clock. I just thought I'll start a little bit early and see if it all looks all right. Fine. I am going to be chatting about Matric rewrites, Matric upgrades. Let me just... okay, that looks fine. Cool. I'm just trying to make my eyes look at the camera by moving around things on the screen here. Okay, Elzan, hello. I can see you there. We're just waiting 1 more minute, I think. Cool. I actually also hi Sanel, I see you. I also picked up this morning that people are actually, there's lots of buzz about how do I get my matric results via SMS. So I've also addressed that in a separate video. I'll probably just leave a link somewhere. Okay, cool. Yeah, I'm just waiting to get to 2 o'clock. I hope you can. Am I loud enough? Okay, last few seconds, and then we will give it a go. Okay, it's 2 o'clock. Guys, thank you for joining me. You know, I'm in a lot of student groups on Facebook, so I keep an eye on the questions. I try to see what people are really stressing about, and then just try to create an opportunity to chat about it. Often I also have to do my own research. So cool. Let's talk about second chance matric rewrite, supplementary matric exams, matric upgrade, adult matric. You know, is this all the same thing? What are these things? How do they work? If you're not, let me start here. Under certain circumstances, if you've just finished writing matric, you are allowed to rewrite or improve or try to improve 2 of your subjects. So in the normal way that things work, you've just written matric November last year. You're getting your results on Tuesday, and you're going to look at it and go, you know, can I, you know, am I allowed to improve 1 or 2 subjects? That whole system of you've just done matric, you're trying to improve the matric results you got, is called the second chance matric. Some people call it matric rewrite. It used to be called the supplementary matric exams. I call it the matric upgrade because you're trying to improve the matric you have. So let's start there with students who's just written matric last year and you're worried about your results now. We talk about what are my possibilities to improve those results. Separate from that, I also want to say a few words about adult matric. And I also want to talk about the merging of matric results. The whole thing of you can write now, you can write a year from now, you can get 2 sets of results, and you can apply to Umalusi to merge those 2 sets of matric results into a single Umalusi matric certificate. I want to talk about that separately because that's quite an important element of it. So let's start with, I've done my matric, I've written my matric in November 2020. I'm getting my results Tuesday coming on the 23rd of Feb. I'm not happy with those results. I want to improve them. How can I do it? And whether you call that the second chance or matric rewrite or supplementary exam, it's all the same thing. That improvement thing is all the same thing. So under what circumstances is the Umalusi going to allow you to try and improve your results? Okay, if you failed, and you look at your results and go, listen, if I can improve the results of 1 or 2 subjects, it'll push me from a fail to a pass, then you're allowed to. If you got a certificate pass and a small improvement in your marks can push you to a diploma pass, then you qualify. If you have a diploma pass and improving 2 of your subjects might push you to a bachelor's pass, then you qualify. If you've applied to study somewhere and you can prove what their requirements are, what the entrance requirements are, and you can look at your results and go, listen, if I can improve 1 or 2 of my subjects, it'll lift me to where I actually comply with the entrance requirements of this place where I have already applied to. Then you qualify. If you were ill, and remember, you have to provide evidence. If you were ill for an exam or 2 exams in November, once again, this is you'll apply to write those exams now meaning May and June this year. So the person who were ill or who missed an exam for a reason that Department of Education will accept, like I say, illness, bereavement, that kind of thing, then also you qualify. Cool, I've got a question. Can I only rewrite 2 subjects or can I rewrite more? You can only improve 1 or 2 subjects. You can't improve 3 subjects. So in my mind, there's 2 limitations to this process. The one thing is you can improve 2 subjects and you must adhere to, you must fall in one of the groups that are allowed to, but you can see the criteria is quite wide. The one limiting factor for me is only 2 subjects, not more than 2. The other factor for me is, and that's what we'll talk about adult matric a little bit later, but in short, you're at school, you're getting a school mark. At the end of matric, there's a mark that the school has calculated for you. Then you write your exam, and your final mark is a combination of your school mark and your exam mark. So the problem here is if you, let's say you did very badly at school in 2 subjects, so your school mark is very low, then it's quite difficult to pull up that low school mark with a high exam mark. So that's a limitation. And the reason I say this leads to adult matric is a place where the school mark no longer counts. But like I said, I'm going to talk about that separately. Cool. So we've spoken about under what circumstances, if you're not happy with your results, can you now try to improve your results? Now, if it will push you from a fail to a pass, if it will push you from certificate pass to diploma, or from diploma to bachelor's, if it will move you from you're not adhering to entrance requirements where you want to study to possibly if you improve those marks, it will push you your marks up to the point where you will adhere to the entrance criteria of a place where you have already applied to study, or if you were ill last year when you wrote the exam. All of those circumstances allows you to write up to 2 subjects now. So when is now? These exams happens every year. They start early in May, they go through May, they go a little bit into June. And I'm saying that because if you did really badly in a subject in your November exam, you've had a holiday, you haven't studied, you get your results 23 Feb. So you've got February, you've got March and April, you've got 2 months and a week, let's say, 4, 8, 9 weeks to cram to study. So you also need to understand that that's how little time is available to study for this exam, because then the exam session starts. So for me, the one important point is 8 or 9 weeks of studies. Now, you got to commit. You got to get your stuff together and start studying and get the help you need to get. The other thing is, remember, for any of these exams, you need to register for the exam. And there's an exam registration closing date. Now, that closing date normally is the end of January, or normally the end of January. This year, because the results is coming out late in Feb, the closing date was the end of Feb. The closing date to apply to write the exam. I think yesterday I saw an announcement that closing date has moved to the end of March. I'm saying all of this because for me, 8-9 weeks is not a lot of time. studying. Plus, if I'm getting my results at the end of Feb and I need to register for that exam by the end of March, once again, 4 weeks, 5 weeks is not a lot of time to get your registration in, get it accepted, get allocated a seat in an exam center. And let me tell you, the longer you wait to register for an exam, the more you're going to struggle to get a seat, because the seats fill up, and you're going to find, yes, there's seats, but there's a seat 150 kilometers away from you. So it's really important that you decide whether you want to go for the supplementary exams. And if you decide to go for it, you start studying and you get yourself registered for that exam immediately. Okay, what happens if I fail the rewrite? Can I apply? Good question. What happened last year is people who wrote in May, June and failed were given the opportunity to then again write in November. So I can't tell you that that will happen this year, but that is what happened last year. That's the one important point. For me, the other important point is your school mark, your class mark is valid for 3 years after you wrote Matric. Meaning you can attempt the rewrite or the upgrade now, May, June. Let's assume you're not allowed to go for November, but you can attempt again next year, May, June, and you can even attempt again the year thereafter, because your class mark stays valid for those 3 years. So technically, once you finish with Matric, you've got 3 years in which to improve or upgrade 1 or 2 of your subjects. Certainly, every year you'll be able to do that in the May, June exam. Whether once again this year they will also open up the November exam for those people, we don't know. Okay. How much will it cost to rewrite? I think there's a small exam registration fee. I'm actually not 100% sure, but my suspicion is you're going to find I'm guessing like a 250 Rand exam registration fee. I think the assumption is you've got all your books, you've got all your learning, you're going to sit and study. The issue is the cost of the exam registration. But I'm not totally sure. Okay, so for me, that's the whole talk about improving my Matric results. I also want to talk a little bit about, okay, cool, so where does adult Matric fit in? Adult Matric is, and I want to talk about adult Matric, I want to talk about the merging of Matric results. So maybe let's talk about the merging of Matric results first. So you've written Matric at the end of last year. Now you've got your Matric results. You've got a statement of results. You've got a Matric certificate, let's say, with the pass, but you want to move it up to a diploma pass. Then you're going to study those 2 subjects. You're going to write them. You're going to get those results like in November this year. And then in a sense, you've got 2 sets of Matric results. Then in those 2 sets, you submit to Umalusi, and they actually give you a combined final Matric certificate. And something I want to make clear, I always think it's nice to say, Umalusi. Sorry, upside down. Umalusi. Something I want to make clear. Your Matric certificate, your final Matric certificate, does not talk about where you studied. It does not talk about your age. It does not talk about whether it's a merged certificate. In the end, you end up with a certificate. They all look the same, whether it's a merged one, whether it's a school one, whether it's an adult Matric one, whether it's IAB one. They all come from Umalusi. They all look the same. So because people sometimes worry, will you be able to see that I had to improve my subjects? No, nobody will see that, because in the end, you merge the 2 sets of results. Okay, so I've spoken about merging. If you write more than 1 exam session, merging those results. Last thing I wanted to say a few words on is adult Matric. So where does adult Matric fit into all of this? Adult Matric is a Matric that gets you Umalusi certificate. Start there, same Umalusi certificate, but you don't have a class mark. So the assumption is you tried to do Matric at school, you didn't do very well, or you didn't pass it, and you are now 20 or 21 years of age or older, up to 60, 70. Then you can study for the adult matric. That means you pick your 6 subjects, you study them, you don't get a class mark. You write your exam in May, June, and the point you get is the point you get. Of course, also the nice thing is you can do it over 2 years if you want to. You can go, cool, it's 6 subjects. I'm gonna write my exam for 3 subjects the first year, for 3 subjects the second year. I'm gonna take those 2 sets of results. I'm gonna have them merged and have a great final mark because I allowed myself enough time to really do well. So if you, for me, if you have a really bad class mark, it becomes a concern that no matter how well you're doing in the exam, you can't pull up that mark. So I do think it's a thing to consider if you know you will be 21 years of age by the time you write the adult matric exam. So if you know next year, May month, you will be 21, then you could now go, I'm going to apply now because I'm writing my first exams next year, May, and I know I'll be 21 next year, May. Can I apply if I'm 19 years old? Yes, you can. Like I say, you've got people that are working, and if you're 19 today, then at some point this year, my assumption is you're turning 20. If you're 19 now, and sometime this year you turn 21, then if you're 19 now, then sometime this year you turn 20, and next year you turn 21. Once again, if you're 21 by May month next year, you can. If you say, no, I'm only turning 21 next year, June, then the only issue is you can't write your first exam next year. You can only write your first exam the year thereafter. But some people choose to give themselves, that much time to study. Matric is not a 1-year program. Adult matric is not a 1-year program. When you do matric in school, the last 3 years of school is matric. The final exam you write is about all 3 years worth of work. So, as an adult, you want to write. If you want to sign up today, get yourself into the exam center for adult matric and write in May month. I'm not going to get you crazy. You're not going to study 6. You're not going to study 1 complete matric subject in 8 weeks and pass it. You need to give yourself a year or 2, even 3 years. That's why I say I'm in favor of try for 2 years, sign up now, study the first 3 subjects, write them a year from now, study the next 3 subjects, write them the year thereafter, and you don't only end up with a matric that's the same as anybody else's matric, but you also make sure that you end up with a matric with the results you want, because you allow yourself enough time to properly study all 6 your subjects. I'm just checking my notes here. Yes, we spoke about that. Oh, since it came up this morning, I wonder, I can probably cut and paste it into the notes. It came up this morning. Lots of people asking, how do I get my matric results by SMS? I looked it up. If you look on the SABC's website where they're advertising how you get it, there is the process. I'm just pasting it into the live chat. That's, I don't know, I'm pressing there. If you look on the SABC site, it shows a process. If you look on the website of the Western Cape Department of Education, it's a slightly different process, and it uses a different phone number that you must send a message to. That process actually to me looks like the more sensible one. So I'm just going to post that as well. Is this thing, what am I doing wrong? Oh, I'm trying to, I'm copying and pasting too many. It doesn't want a long message. Okay, so on the SABC process, maybe I should just write it at the top. SABC process. So I've given step 1, 2, and 3 of the SABC process, and now I'm going to give you step 4, 5, and 6. Oh, it won't take that much. Okay, I'm just going to take out step 6. I can't paste in more than 200 characters in the live chat. Okay, so there's steps 4 and 5. And here is step 6. Like I said, that's the SABC process. I think the process I found on the Western Cape Department of Education website, to me, looks more sensible. So I'm just going to put that into the live chat as well. I'm just going to write Western Cape. Okay, so this is the Western Cape education process. There's the first 2 or 3 steps. Okay, too many. There's the first 2 steps. There's step 3 and 4 and maybe 5. Yes. And steps 6 and 7. And lastly, step 8. Okay, so just as an extra aside, if you're wondering how to get your results by SMS, there's 2 processes. Cool. So if there's no more questions, I'm going to call it a day, Saturday. And best of luck for the results coming out on Tuesday. Try not to stress too much. I'm going to keep on talking about all the different study options and opportunities there are, whether you have Matric, don't have Matric, good Matric, bad Matric. There are many options for all those different circumstances. Let's get those Matric results and then figure out, what are the next steps. Thank you very much.